Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Thank you for taking the time to come and be part of TEDxSnoIsleLibraries 2020. All around our region and state, across the country and around the globe, people just like you and me are hungry for ideas and information. We all want to know more, to imagine, and to understand. And TEDx events are organized to provide opportunities to connect us with ideas worth spreading. The TED organization has granted a license allowing Sno-Isle Libraries to independently organize this local TEDx event. Because at its core, your public library is all about providing you access to ideas and information. We've worked with some amazing individuals from our region to share some of these ideas with you. Now, the really hard work to make this happen has come from each featured speaker and all those who've worked behind the scenes. So we invite you to sit back and imagine you are sitting in the largest theater ever. In this virtual space, we are choosing to be safe, exercising our social distance, and other members of the audience are also choosing to be present. We are all expectant, ready to think deeply, and we are reimagining the quantum connections between ideas and realities. And now, on with the show.
Hello, and welcome to TEDxSnoIsleLibraries 2020. I'm your host, Phil Klein, and I'm here to share with you voices from our community who are shaping and reshaping our world for the better. In this event, we'll be sharing their TEDx talk, premiering that talk, and holding a conversation with the speaker to dig deeper into their ideas and towards where we can go from here. With me are also a team of moderators and a co-host to provide any additional support we may need. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Throughout this hour, you're invited to ask questions in the comments section of the Zoom webinar or on YouTube or on Facebook live streams, wherever you may be. And we do hope to respond to as many questions as we can during the hour. And if something strikes you or inspires you, please feel free to share that also. And now it's time for TEDx. So we have today Anna Choi with us. Anna is a speaker who's been working with us, and since even before we knew about COVID-19, she has been thinking about how we create peace within times of chaos. Anna, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It is so great to see you again. And I wanted to start off by asking you, what made you feel like this was the time for you to give this talk?
Yes, I believe right now humanity has been at a tipping point for the last several years, really shifting from the digital information age more into a transformation impact age. And people have just been in the chaos and noise of the rat race and of the hustle and grind, operating like machines, trying to do more and more, yet still feeling something missing. And that's what this talk really addresses, because what used to work no longer does in this environment, whether pre-pandemic or even post. So if we can really look at that and navigate that noise, that's what this talk can address.
Thank you. So really reflecting on how we experience the fast pace of life with a new way of being that can handle and deal with that. And so we'll turn just in a moment to your talk, but before we do, I invite everyone who's listening to kind of relax. You start us off with a little bit of a story and then take us on a journey. So please unfasten your seatbelts, relax, and enjoy this talk from Anna Choi.
What if you could choose to create peace in any chaos? Airplane, airplane, cries my father, looking out the window. My dad is 3 years old. It's 1950. The Korean War has just begun. My dad, now an orphan, must flee south 200 miles to the city Busan by foot, mostly being carried on the back of his grandma. Hearing this story all growing up, my dad would reminisce. I just remember how warm and comforting it was on my grandma's back. I was struck that despite the chaos of war, my dad experienced peace. War is an extreme form of chaos. On a more personal level, chaos might look like separation from a loved one, a sudden job loss, or an unexpected diagnosis. On a day-to-day level, chaos might look like you're about to go on Zoom to present, and then your son is suddenly making these joyfully loud, gleeful, bizarre noises, or about to throw a temper tantrum. It could look like cooking a meal while you're trying to text 3 people at once and then listening to a podcast all at the same time, or scrolling through your social media feeds getting triggered by notifications, responses, and comments. Chaos can then go internal, like the throbbing headache that never goes away all day, or feeling an underlying anxiety from the uncertainty and not being able to plan, or that mind that never shuts up right before bed. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? Oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Oh, I hope that thing doesn't happen. Chaos can even be the awesome things in life, like so much business growth that you cannot keep up with it, or having so many passion projects that you love and are overcommitted to, or being addicted to achievement after achievement, fulfilling all your vision board and another vision board, yet still feeling empty. That was me. I lived the cliche of attaining everything I wanted, financially, physically, socially, yet I was still missing peace of mind. The only time I experienced true bliss and peace would be at these silent meditation retreats. I fell in love with myself and experienced the most tremendous pouring of love and abundance flowing out. I didn't need anything or anyone to fill me up. Then I would come home. The reality would hit. The chaos would ensue. And I was just struck by this blissful peace I just experienced against my chaotic life. How could I create peace in my day-to-day chaos? I figured I'd have to either become a monk or a nun, or be rich enough that I could fly around to all these meditation retreats. Because apparently peace costs a lot of money. Now, you may not have the time to go to a meditation retreat. It's not in your budget, you're not interested, or you don't have time to just sit still for 1 hour, let alone 5 minutes. But what if you could create moments of peace in your day-to-day chaos? I became obsessed with that question, poring over all the energy training and peace training I could get my hands on. I I became a martial arts student, yoga instructor, an energy master, and a conscious business coach, helping business leaders in burnout be able to replenish and focus their energy as they grow their business. I want to share what I've gleaned and distilled over all of those years with you right now in a few moments where together we can directly experience creating these moments of peace and chaos right there in your chair. Before we do that, first, you have to accept the chaos. So instead of trying to avoid it, gosh, chaos, why are you even here? Or I don't notice the chaos, I'm just gonna look right here and ignore or avoid the chaos. Or, okay, let's come up with a solution. Okay, let's fix this chaos. Or bring it on. I can overcome you, chaos. Show me what you got. Or, oh, there's just so much chaos. It's so bad, and indulge in the chaos. Accepting chaos looks like surrendering. The illusion of control, operating from that life has always been uncertain and always will be. Once you've accepted the chaos, you can now allow for the chaos, really be with it and face those fears and unwanted emotions or pains. I'm excited to introduce to you now that interactive exercise we were talking about that my dear friend and colleague Uma Songvi created and introduced to me through many other peace pioneers. She's now a mind body coach, but formerly a Stanford neuroscience researcher. All right, are you ready? So go ahead and I invite you to close your eyes and do a body scan from the top of your body, noticing any tension or pain, whether physical or emotional. You know, those unwanted emotions like anger, irritability, anxiety, embarrassment, loneliness. And then once you pick one, ask yourself, where exactly is it located in my body? What shape is it? What texture? What color? What movement? Just let it be, and then go ahead and move to another part of your body where it feels good or neutral. And if you can't find a place in your body, just think of a happy memory. And now go to that place and what does that feel like? Is it warm? Is it tingly? And let that feeling saturate the rest of your body and all its cells, top of your head to the tips of your toes. Now go back to the pain. And now ask, where is it located now? What shape? What color? What texture? What movement? You can now open your eyes. And for most people, when I do this exercise with them, they've shifted the color. That hot, throbbing, pulsing, spiny thing in their throat has now become this liquidy, lovey pink goo. Or that blue churning ball in their stomach or chest is now settled down. Whatever you felt, it's perfect. Now, that's allowing the chaos. And after you've accepted it, allowed it, now we can move through the chaos through something called moving meditations. This is based off the work of Il-Chi Lee. He met with the UN ambassador of El Salvador, a Central American small country that's been plagued with poverty, gang violence, and civil war. And they were like, help us. So he came and brought brain education and moving meditations into the school curriculums, training the teachers to then work with the students in training them in these moving meditations. And it had such effectiveness in bringing peace to these extremely chaotic situations that it just kept spreading. And 7 years later, 25% of the entire school curriculum now has this. I got so inspired, I wanted to bring that work locally, and we started a scholarship fund through our local Kitsap Community Foundation, where we were then able to provide a fund to train teachers for free in giving this to their students. Can you imagine our next generation of global leaders being able to have access to peace in chaos, transforming our communities locally, one school at a time. I'm going to introduce these moving meditations to you now. And the first one's called pinky thumb exercise. So if you put both fists out, you put out your thumb and your pinky, and then you close both fists and switch again. And when people are first doing this, they're like, whoa, and your left and right brain lobe is actually now integrating when you do this. It's a favorite one for students right before test taking, helps them lighten up and focus their brain with their body. Okay, now the next one is called intestine exercise. Put both thumbs onto your belly button and rest the rest of your hands like this. Then you want to suck your belly button into your spine like a sitting crunch, whether you're sitting or standing, and keep pumping like this. So keep doing this while I talk and start to feel and generate that heat. We often exercise our muscles, but how often do we exercise our organs? The gut is called the second brain because if you were to cut off your central nervous system of your brain and spinal cord, your gut would still keep working. In fact, it has 3 to 5 times more neurons than your brain and produces over 90% of serotonin, often dubbed the happiness hormone, versus a mere 3% is produced in your brain. Now, what's happening as you feel that heat building up is a principle called water up, fire down. Normally, we have so much chaos and distractions and thinking so much in our head. We need to bring that hot-headedness into our core, heating up our body, helping support our immune system. And then that cold gut, stiff energy that's stagnant, makes it hard to go to the bathroom, can then come, cool energy, calm your mind. So that's water up, fire down. Now, you can do this moving meditation at the checkout line while you're on a Zoom call or when you're driving. And even just a few pumps of awareness will help bring all those outside distractions back into your body. All right, you can stop now. So far we have accepted chaos, allowed the chaos. Now we've moved the chaos, which has set us all up in your body to be primed to now receive and listen within. Listening within is what will allow you to generate peace and chaos and listen within to your body's wisdom. But first, you have to be able to feel energy. What do I mean by energy? So energy comes in many forms of light, sound, and vibration, which is what we're going to practice. And it comprises the building blocks of all of what's around us in nature, from the stars to the oceans and the mountains to your physical body, and then to the invisible atoms and molecules inside the microscopic level. And energy is just your thoughts, your emotions, and your body sensations as well. All right, so let's actually experience feeling the energy so we can listen within. And you can just start by going like this, like you're screwing a light bulb in, and really focus your attention on your wrists. Feel your hands warming up. Good. And now tap like this, and your fingertips plus your wrists. Good, keep breathing. And then you can go like this and slap and shake your hands, and then go ahead and make friction. Ooh. Feel the heat building up, and then stop. Ooh, do you feel that? That tingly sensation? For some, it might be a magnetic pull. Others, you just feel the heat. That's energy. Now imagine there's an energy ball between your hands, and I invite you to close your eyes again as you breathe in. Expand the energy ball, and as you exhale, contract the energy ball and imagine it burning brighter. Inhale, focus on the awareness between your hands, and exhale. Where your mind goes, energy flows. So again, put your awareness between your hands and inhale once more. And as you exhale, you can open your eyes and put it into your heart and ask your heart, what is my message today? And listen within. Open your eyes, and whatever message you got was perfect. And you can take that energy ball not just into your heart, you can put it into your brain or put it into your gut, your power center, or you can share that energy ball with another who might need some energy. You can ask that question as well. What's my message today to a body part, an organ, or to a pain in your body? Listening within is your way to really generate peace in any chaos. Now, what we've done is allowed the chaos, accepted it, we've moved through it, which allowed us to then listen within. So if you forget all those steps, just smile. That's the shortcut to generating peace. Lots of science why that's awesome. And generating peace can be as simple as that to what I shared earlier with my dad's grandma, generating peace for my dad, carrying him riding on her back, safely south. A friend and colleague of mine is a neurologist and physician who works often in the ICU, and in his line of work, he often sees people's final moments before they pass away. And I asked him during this time, what are the lessons that you have learned? And he said, well, there's the good deaths and the bad deaths. Bad deaths are where the family refuses to speak to each other. They burden our staff with 3 staff members having to update each of the 3 family members. And at the time of passing, nobody's around. A good death is where I'm holding up the speakerphone between the patient and the patient's family. In those final moments, they might have their favorite music playing, and they often say the same final words. I love you. You know, that thing that you're worried about, it's taken care of. And that thing that you always wanted me to do, I did it. Thank you. I love you. And in that final moment of passing, it's so peaceful. And you can feel that love permeating to the whole staff and rippling out to the whole hospital. Death is likely one of the biggest types of chaos humanity faces. And my question to you is, if you were to have a peaceful passing, who would you be right now? As humans, before our precious time on planet Earth passes, each moment you have an opportunity to choose to create peace in any chaos. Our world is a bit chaotic and could use some peace. Each time you choose to become a source of peace in the world peace becomes possible. You have now experienced choosing to create peace in any chaos. What will you choose now? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was riveting, and what a tour of peace that you gave us in that, from a childhood of your father to the experience of what life can be as we approach its end. And with so much passion and opportunities to experience peace in between. This is a challenging time for a lot of people. How are you thinking about peace in a way uniquely in related to the COVID-19 challenges that people have been having lately? Are there some unique aspects to it now?
Oh, yes. I think, and there's 2 aspects, right? So there's unique forms of chaos right now, as well as the peace. So I might just use that to frame the conversation. As far as chaos, people have to make, they already had decision overwhelm, but now the decisions are, hey, should I go to this gathering outside or not? Who can I see? And There's a lot of opportunities to practice compassion, right? And not have judgment during these times of choices people are making. There's, on the basic level, everyone knows, certain business, depending on what state you're in. So in our state, for the most part, gyms, summer camps, schools, all those things aren't meeting in their typical ways. And so inside of that unique chaos of today, people are having to be creative, right? So I've seen a lot of peaceful, unique forms of peace from innovation. And there's, as a very global traveler who now, and who spoke at a lot of live events, now everything moving virtual, I've had the privilege to really experience some of these new forms of peace. I just, a lot of meditation retreats moved online, which is like, how do you do that and be online? But it surprisingly has worked. I've been in like 3-day, conferences for global transformation, and was able to experience peace after, there's all this concern of, oh my gosh, I don't want to get zoomed out. How am I actually going to meet people? This conference I was supposed to go to was in Hollywood, on the red carpet, and now it's online. It's just not the same. Yet it was extraordinary. And I had peace personally knowing the resilience and the, creativity of humanity can still continue to flourish if one's willing to adapt in the uncertainty. And still those like brilliant ideas that you get when you go to conferences, that experience still happened from my chair at home. So that was cool. And then the meditation retreats that I've been to, they have ranged, but I went to a 3-day one, and we literally had a global dance party with a live DJ with like 400 or 500 people all dancing. And then we had tea and dessert and just those experiences. Like I got all dressed up to be on a Zoom call, and just having those special occasions still possible for me created a lot of peace, knowing I could still get that recharge without having to go in person. And while it's completely different, it still is able to provide those experiences that you get when you recharge and go do fun things.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're finding your way with what's available today. And for a lot of people who aren't familiar with deliberately practicing ways to become at peace, and for whom some of the exercises that you offered may be unfamiliar, what can you suggest to kind of encourage people to find ways that give them peace? Are there indicators people can look for in terms of their own experience, or in terms of following something that would be a natural path for them towards peace?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the tenet of really being able to accept it and call it out and name it. And so, I mean, chaos comes in so many different forms. And like mentioned in the talk, with noise or with, there's personal day-to-day things of having to work remote home with lots of kids, or bigger things of all these life circumstances happening in a much shorter time frame than we've ever had to really deal with. So for you personally, if you can at least just notice and observe it and see your pattern of how your relationship to that chaos, right? So if it's like, I'm just gonna like suffer through this, or I'm gonna like try to still control it, or whatever you do, just noticing what your pattern is then takes you out from being in it to observing it. Once you're able to then observe it, you can then choose to do some of those exercises, or just breathe, call up someone, whatever it is for you that can bring a sense of peace.
And are there different kinds of peace as well as there being different kinds of chaos? Can you tell us what the texture of peace is when you get really familiar with it, the way you must know peace in ways many of us have yet to learn it?
It's funny, I wouldn't say I'm an expert of peace, because it's something that is unnameable, and that I've had doses of it, right? And that my mastery in it is getting longer points of peace, I guess. And I would say it turns into bliss at a certain point. So as far as textures of peace, yeah, there would be like if we had a spectrum, right? And there's the extreme form of peace would be bliss, which I would say is beyond ecstasy. The very light form of peace could being just content, or actually that's probably deeper, content and fulfillment. It would be more like in the moment, just satisfied, right? So it can show up through different emotions. There's a really good map of consciousness that actually lays it out, and they did a study on people's different emotions and their levels. It's called Lux level. I won't go into the whole thing of it, but you can actually see where you are on the gradation of peace, and peace is high on the spectrum, but there's other levels that you can identify yourself at.
Wow. So there's a social dimension of peace as well, being peace in connection and harmony. I imagine so much about getting to know that peace better. I mean, the suggestion, if we follow your idea, is that we can create peace ongoingly, and we can widen that space of peace the way we do with love, or with other strong awareness. I guess I'm hoping that there's a way that we can expand that space of peace in which to be. Do you have a sense about how people with some of the more challenging parts of being human, like let's say strong emotions, how does peace coexist with times of strong emotion, and does it potentially go together with having a rich emotional life?
Yeah, absolutely. So peace isn't passive. Absolutely, you can have a very active peace, so to speak. I think of it more like being able to master inside like a tsunami of chaos that you can surf, right? Like have this relaxed concentration or focus of peace while everything's spinning around. That would be like super mastery. As far as the first question, can you repeat that one more time, what you were saying?
Really, it was around how people can have a rich emotional life together with the experience of peace. We have strong negative emotions as natural responses to encounters. And I'm curious about the relationship. Does it mean a neutral state? You answer part of it by saying that peace is active. So does that mean when there is a wave, let's say of sorrow or of grieving or of loss, that peace can go along with that? Or is there a dimension or an experience of peace that relates to emotion, or are those really in different domains? I'm just sort of trying to widen out the space of what you mean by peace, and maybe a little bit more about what active peace actually looks like.
Yeah, I think babies and kids are brilliant masters at this, where they can feel these negative emotions. Like the fact that that's even a thing, or that it's labeled negative, is indicative. So let's just say emotions are emotions, right? And every emotion has its place. And it would just be weird, right? If you were not grieving in a particular situation, or I don't want to say it's weird, like people are going to feel what they feel. But so absolutely, you can have these intense negative emotions that we don't want. The trick is how fast we're clinging onto them in the moment that they come up. Because emotions are so, yes, you can have some control of it, but a lot of it, it's just, your body triggering different hormones from different triggers, both within and outside. So as you're triggered and you feel emotion, if you're able just to, like a kid or a baby, just like, and then the next moment they're completely happy, right? That's like the ultimate peace, that freedom to intensely feel the negative emotion or an emotion and allow it. And we just don't have practice ever, because we're not really trained in it, of how to really deal with emotions. Certain ones are good, certain ones are okay, like all of that. But if we take it out of the box and just allow the intense emotion or whatever's coming out to be able to come out, and not suppress it or avoid it or whatever, but allow it, that's
It's like
mastery.
surfing that tsunami.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit to ask about the wider social world as we perhaps move towards imagining a world full of active peacemakers or active peace flowers. I don't know what you call someone who is practicing your practice around peace. What role would you see either businesses or organizations or community groups playing in relation to creating peace or responding to chaos?
Yes. Yeah. No, I think for me, I'm a huge believer in education. So being able to not just educate our kids, but our adults as well, in being able to manage our emotions is a key step to take around actually individually being able to generate peace in chaos. So it starts with I don't even want to say to schools now, because that concept of schools is, I don't want to say it's re-morphing as we homeschool more. And it's like everyone is a teacher. So our institutions are going through a serious stress test right now. So we'll see what comes out the other side. But trainings, right? Like just being able to, whether it's the government or a corporation or a school or nonprofit, I think just even internal training within the working team and the staff to the constituencies and the beneficiaries would be huge if it just became a normal subject, like, everyone has to learn to read in a school typically. So what if you learned literacy, like emotional literacy, which would then be able to
Right, those additional 3 R's, what are they? Reflection, relationships, and resilience. That's a psychological frame for those qualities of creating peace.
Very good.
That's not me. That's from Dan Siegel, a psychologist. But I'm really excited to see some of the questions coming in, so we'll be turning to those in just a moment. But one last question on this topic. Where do you feel like the world is going in terms of being able to embrace and expand a lived experience of peacefulness? Do you feel like in your envisionment or in your future, can you see an ongoing, let's say, plateau or plane of peaceful reality as something that is achievable and realistic for us to imagine in our communities? Or what is your vision for how good could things be if we lived in peace with chaos?
It's interesting because peace is not a destination or some utopian future vision where everyone's like, kumbaya together necessarily. It could look like that. That's one of many possibilities of a future vision for peace. The vision I have is more principle-based, that peace is a habit that we cultivate ongoingly, that we have to do the hard work of facing our own fears and going within. Like peace can only be, it's like the opposite. You can generate peace outside for others, but you have to find it within you first. And when you are able to do that, that then can overflow to impact others more deeply. So if peace could become simply a habit that we are paying attention to day, that's the vision I have, where people are willing to confront their stuff and go do the work necessary to really clear that out and experience the other side.
I don't know if being psychic is a side effect of being peaceful, but you actually just raised Michael's question, which is the first question I have here, which is, how do you remind yourself to take these moments within the chaos as you build this as a habit?
Oh, that's so great. That's so awesome. Okay, I'm so excited and tickled. Can you say that one more time? How do you create habits of peace, basically?
Yes, how do you remind yourself to take these moments within the chaos until you build this habit? I think there's a little assumption in there that it will take some work, which I think is fair.
Fine, yes. So what I would say is you have to first, like I said earlier, go within. There's meditation and breathing. I mean, if you just start with breathing well, most people, I would assert, don't know how to breathe. And we're not conscious of it. So if you bring your awareness simply to your breath, just without judgment is the key. Just noticing. I'm going to say a lot of those words. Just observe, just notice, just observe. Then you can come out from being stuck in it and observe yourself and your habits and your behaviors and be with all the thoughts and emotions that then arise in the silence. So now is more important than ever before to have an opportunity where many people are alone at home way more than ever before, to go within and to practice this. So some folks might have meditation practices, but a lot of times that can be difficult to just sit for a long period without having had experience, or it can just be hard. And I see a lot of people then abandon it when they haven't had more experience. And so again, with even just 1 minute of the moving meditations, there are many, you can create your own, but the things that are going to have you choose to be with what is. So for example, if you're having a conversation, or you see something, a political conversation, or there's all sorts of things happening in the world right now, and you're in a conversation and you feel something triggering, you might just stop and notice, oh my gosh, my stomach's churning, my throat's getting dry, I can feel my heart racing, right? So chaos is about to ensue. You can just get up and actually move, or go outside, or take a few deep breaths and just notice, oh, I'm not even breathing, I'm holding my breath. So being more conscious, just breathe, learn to breathe.
Yes.
That could be a lifetime of mastery right there. You don't need anything else. Learn to breathe.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you don't have a judgmental view about any of this, but you're suggesting there's a lot that you can learn when you choose to focus your attention and make it a practice. A next question from Matt, who asks, as you identify the color of stress inside your body, does blue or yellow have any significance? Maybe there are multiple answers to that one.
I bet there's probably better experts than I that could answer that. I don't think it does. And I don't think it matters to try to then interpret, because the point and purpose of that particular exercise is to bring awareness, to allow and be with whatever's happening. It's like playing a trick on your brain to pay attention to the movement and the texture and everything, so that in the meantime, you're just being with that anger versus, or whatever the negative emotion is. So you're tricking the brain to distract itself by asking those questions. So you don't, if you get involved with like the color, why is it that color? Now you're back in your head. So my short answer is like, don't worry about it. And there might be other people who think otherwise, but no, there's no significance. If it's a dark black, or white, or yellow, whatever, like it doesn't matter what color. What matters is, yeah.
So, I mean, some people may ask, how do you develop evidence for some of the things that you're sharing about, or to what degree is it either evidence-based versus it's just what somebody's saying? And how do you kind of balance that question for, let's say, scientific validation and what, for lack of a better term, sort of feels right or feels like a good approach?
Very good. So for me, I'm a big proponent of I do what works. And if something doesn't work, even if it's scientifically validated and it doesn't work for me, that's still not going to work, even if it's scientifically validated. So I try my best to make sure things are scientifically validated. It's not my forte. So it's going to be mixed. These have a variety of scientific backings or not. I've just done it through personal direct experience and having tested, with my own clients and community with hundreds of people to know what works or what doesn't. So in general, feel free to throw out anything I've said if it doesn't float your boat or pass the stress test for science. Again, I'm just more interested in doing what works and gets results for people.
Right. Okay. So yeah, people can and should really validate for themselves what they feel their appropriate level of scientific validity and personal exploration, staying within the bounds of what's, reasonable, healthy, and safe. Melody asks, or actually sort of a comment here, interested in the concept that we're moving into a transformational time, which allows her to have peace, knowing that this time is a time of tremendous change and not just something for us to wait out. Just sort of chiming in on your points about this being a time to go inward. And there was a question also, Melody's asking about the second exercise or about the other exercise. Is there a place that people will be able to see the exercises, or did you want to sort of summarize them very quickly? Or I don't know if people will likely want to see those. They will be in the TED Talk as well that comes out, but anything that you'd want to say for someone who's interested in seeing the exercises again?
Yeah, so aside from the talk being published, there's a couple resources that I love. So there's YouTube channels. Body and Brain Yoga has a lot of these exercises. That's the work of Il-Chili that I have mentioned. They have many. There's Brain Education, BTV, the Body and Brain, and then there's for kids, brainpowerwellness.org, I believe. So anyway, those are different YouTubes that'll just walk you through lots of different moving meditations you can do.
So it's a big world. You should feel free to explore. Chandler asks, could you share tips on separating oneself from one's thoughts so that you're more able to focus on peace and our response?
Interesting. So I don't know if separation's that's an interesting word to use.
Maybe differentiate. I mean, there's this idea that we have the inner critic or a voice in our heads, and that we're not that voice.
Right. It's that mindset of like, oh, I need to stop it, or the thoughts are not good, or something like that, that often makes it worse and it exacerbates it. So if I kind of want to reframe the thinking behind the question, because I think the intention behind it is more, if there's a way, like what are best practices to be able to quiet the mind? And I know that's not exactly what they asked, but that's a little bit of what I'm taking from that. So if you just kind of take the case that your thoughts, you can't, like, your thoughts are just going to thought you all the time, then you'll stop looking there and instead focus on being in the chaos of the thoughts and then find the peace there, because it's all one. Like, consider that you can't, there's nothing to do with the thoughts. You can gain mastery with being with the thoughts and just having them float by like clouds and you being the sky, or in the ocean. You can picture that could definitely help. Like, there's the waves and the ripples, and then who you are is deep in the ocean, or the water, but you are the water itself. So it's not like you can separate that. And maybe that visualization can just help be with the thoughts.
Anne asks, how would you recommend creating peace in this divisive world, right? Where so many people will just not interact with each other and don't think the same way that they do.
Love this question. I have had so many more confrontational, I would have called it that pre-pandemic or post-pandemic in this world we're in now than ever before. Because before it was me and them, and there was like this divisiveness. The opportunity of now is, I welcome the opposite side. I welcome those confrontational conversations Are they hard? Yes. Does it kind of stress me out? Absolutely. But I've had them. And when I was able to be with them, just like the practice of being with the negative emotions, because that's all that's happening usually is like, you don't want to, there's fear of losing a relationship, not knowing what to say, all those things. If you can be with that, welcome that into your heart, right? This is one of what my spiritual mentors really talks about. That's the answer. You have to go through it instead of avoid it. So as far as having peace in a divisive world, really welcome that conflict into your heart emotionally. You can like shift that into something positive. And on a practical basis, that looked like me having people with completely opposite political views, whatever, or completely disagreeing that are friends. So we had a basis, I had a basis of love and respect with them to begin with. I went into the conversation knowing it could get hairy. I just listened. It was a perfect opportunity for peace. I just allowed, not like took it in, not condoned it. I just listened. Just, this is such a good time just to learn to listen. And then magically, right? Like, no, they didn't switch their views by the end, but that wasn't the point. But there was a shift in like, oh, just in listening, there was like a mutual understanding. Like we found common ground that I would never have known otherwise. And we still completely disagreed on others. And do I want to have that conversation again? No, not really. But I'm proud of myself. Like I can handle this. Like you get more prowess with divisiveness.
You know what, some of what you're saying reminds me of this idea called therapeutic presence, where you allow the experience of another person to be fully exactly as it is, together with your own inward responses. And rather than trying to channel it any specific way, by letting it be, it makes room for it to be as it is. And maybe paradoxically also to shift and change. It's like there isn't room to change unless things can be as they are. And that's part of what I think this paradox in a way behind having peace with chaos is important to kind of see that you're not destroying the chaos in that. You're allowing peace to find its way to flourish together with it as a practice. Is it really a practice?
I mean, peace and chaos don't really exist. I just want to say that it's subjective. Those are labels that we've put on different body sensations and thoughts and emotions, period. So it is a paradox that to hold it all as one. And we need the labels of words to be able to communicate something. Mm-hmm. Nothing's wrong. I mean, like the world is just the way it is.
Yeah.
In reality, right? Like,
right.
If we were having an apocalypse or whatever, a seventh world extinction, like the world doesn't care. Like the universe is going to keep going, but we're the ones make like suffering or whatever inside of it.
Okay, well, and I guess there are relationships with this to some practices. Like Gail, for example, asks, when do you meditate? Mornings, evenings, all day? I mean, I don't know who meditates all day every day, but boy, that must be an enlightening way to be.
But yes, that is kind of the new way to be. So first, it depends on every person when you have your most flow. For me personally, I love it early dawn in the morning. There's such a special energy. But for like a night owl or someone who likes that peace at time or that at night, that might be the best time, or it might be during lunch or whatever. But as far as doing it every day, I got this from a good colleague of mine who's a naturopath, and it's just bringing consciousness and awareness to everything you do, which is a meditation. So when you're just chewing slowly, feeling the ground beneath your feet walking to the mailbox. Anytime you're being present, that's a strong meditation practice. So it might be hard to hold that conscious awareness and presence for like an hour, but you could experiment and see how long you can go.
Well, let's see, we're getting close to 55 minutes. So I don't know that we've had an hour of peace together yet, but we've had some peace together. So just taking this moment as an opportunity, what do you sense right now about the peace that either is or isn't present in our interaction, and as our kind of minds stretch out to connect with the listeners wherever they may be? What is it you're sensing in the peace and in the chaos right now?
I'm laughing because like I'm like I so many times on the outside it looks way more peaceful than what's going on the inside. So as far as this hour, the moments I can just be fully present, there's peace. And then the moments I'm like, wait, Phil didn't go through all the exact, I thought you were going to go and order the questions and he's going off, he's going off script. I was like having mini freakouts while I'm smiling and then finding my way in that tsunami inside, like, okay, Anna, well, you really don't have to worry about anything and just be present, right? So for me, I had probably a different journey than those listening. But again, that's life, right? Reconciling two different things internally, externally, and doing my best to just calm what's inside and be present now.
Yes. And just for the audience, two things I want to say. One is this event is not fully scripted, okay?
Not at all.
We are here having live experience with you. And the second is that during the video showing of Anna's talk, I've gone through and watched it several times, but I was watching Anna's response as she was seeing herself speaking, because I was able to see both videos simultaneously. And it was just a wonder of eye-opening awareness that I saw you as you were actively experiencing in that way that you can be actively peaceful. I hope I caught a few moments of your peace. But at any rate, for the rest of you, it was something to behold. I appreciate very much all that you shared in that, Anna. So circling towards, potentially a little more challenging question, right? I don't want to stay too, I don't know that you say peace isn't active, it is active. So you don't want to maybe think too fixed, in a fixed way about it. It's not like a singular mindset, it's dynamic and shifting.
Discover it. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah. And so when chaos is intensely disruptive, right, is there an approach that you suggest for fighting for peace, right? Is there a time and a place or a way in which it's really critical to sort of just focus and make that a sort of a supreme goal, or really when you recognize that it's really critical? And then what do you do when chaos is so profoundly disruptive?
Okay, so first off, the words fighting peace is funny to me. It's like fighting fire with fire. So I think of two examples, war, and I think of giving birth. Very extreme, intense pain and potentially traumatic situations. And how you'll often see, I'll take war, not that I have background in this, but let's just, even as a metaphor, if you're dealing with something intensely chaotic, sometimes that's what drives up your ability to surrender any illusion of control and go within. So it forces you to be present, essentially, which is where peace exists. I actually think those times of extreme chaos are the easiest times to discover and find peace, that not fight it, but really allow it, because you have no other option. Is just to be here and then, okay, what am I going to do now? In my pregnancy, I water birthed with no drugs or anything. And there was this moment, I went from 2 to 10 centimeters dilation in an hour, which is a very intense thing for your body to experience. And I remember all of my tactics, all of my training of going within and just relaxing went out the window. Like, it was just so intensely painful. And I just surrendered. Like, I just was like, okay, take me. I'm gonna body. It's up. It's up to you. Tag. You're it. And that's when I actually dilated from 2 to 10, and then pushed out in the next 4 pushes in a bathtub or a hot tub. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, those extreme times are a blessing, whether or not you're even conscious of it, that force and focus into the moment. So yay.
Yay. Yes. Wow. Well, gosh, I think you've taken us through a birth and we've midwifed a new world in just 1 hour or so. If you had a wish, if you had a TED wish, what would it be for our future, for our place going forward?
I just want people to unleash their brilliance within and be willing and courageous to face their own fears, their own shadows, to find that other side, to find that peace within.
Thank you so much. Is there any last words that you'd like to leave us with, Anna?
Yeah, I'm just, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am all about empowerment. I'm here to serve you. I have so many resources. I love this conversation. So if you want, more of those resources, please contact me. I don't know if they're going to chat or not. My email is anna@annasunchoi.com. And that's also my website, annasunchoi.com. There's lots of resources for you guys. So please, let's move forward together and take action inside of peace for our world.
Thank you so much for welcoming into this world of peace within chaos. Anna, it's been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for all of your work, putting this talk together, sharing this idea, for holding the space for us to think about peace in a more constructive, more aware, a more awake way. And thank you to everyone for joining and for listening. Thanks to all who asked questions. I think we got to many of them. If we didn't get all, we can hope that you'll respond to Anna's invitation to take a look at her website. Thanks to everyone for joining, and we'll be with you again tomorrow evening for an evening of music with Andre Ferriante. Thank you, and good evening from TEDx Sno-Isle Libraries.
TEDx Sno-Isle Libraries 2020 has been made possible through the generous support of corporate and community-based organizations who believe in the power of ideas and information. We'd like to thank these organizations for partnering with us. Coastal Community Bank, serving the financial needs of customers throughout Western Washington. Coastal Community Bank, where community is not just their middle name, it's how they do business. Community Transit of Snohomish County, providing public transportation alternatives and solutions which help people get from where they are to where they want to be. Overdrive, always innovating to help libraries transform by providing digital content such as ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and video for public libraries. Washington Energy Services, providing heating, cooling, and other service solutions to help Puget Sound residents save energy and live better. And our founding partner, the Sno-Isle Libraries Foundation, committed to mobilizing people and resources to expand the reach of Sno-Isle Library services, promote civic engagement, and foster a lifetime of learning.